Super Mario 64 was one of the first games I ever played in 3D. Growing up as a child in the 90s, some of my core memories of gaming surround this game. Whether it was trying to beat this game for the first time, getting lost in the water levels of Dire Dire Docks, or racing my older sister to see who could beat the game first. This game, for better or for worse, played a pivotal part in my childhood development. And so, today I wanted to 100% it. We are going to be 100%ing Super Mario Bros. 64 for the Nintendo 64. To 100% the game, we will need to collect all 120 Power Stars, view Bowser's alternate dialogue in the Bowser in the Sky boss fight, and talk to Yoshi on top of the castle at the end. Just like the Luigi's Mansion video, this entire playthrough was streamed live over on my Twitch channel, which you could find in the description down below. In addition to that, if you would like to watch the full unedited version of this playthrough, you could check it out over on my LP Max YouTube channel, which I will link down below. The last thing I want to say before getting into the video itself is that you might notice that I am playing on the Mario 3D All-Stars version. I'm doing this for two reasons. The first reason is because it's a lot easier for me to sit down and record on the Switch compared to the N64, and the other reason is because recently I 100%ed Mario Sunshine, and I did that using the Mario 3D All-Stars version, and so I thought, why not continue the tradition and play the next game in the bundle? When I started the game, I figured the best thing to do was to finish up everything on the first floor before fighting Bowser, then doing everything in the basement, and then doing everything on the second floor, and then finally the third floor. And so starting off, I went into the first world of Mario 64, Bob-omb Battlefield. After getting the first 4 stars, I swapped over to Whomp's Fortress since I didn't have the wing cap to get the rest of the stars in Bob-omb Battlefield. After getting a couple stars in Whomp's Fortress, I went ahead and did the secret slide star, unlocked the wing cap, and then finished up all the stars I was missing in Bob-omb Battlefield and in Whomp's Fortress, before moving on to the next world in the game, Cool Cool Mountain. Cool Cool Mountain took me a little longer than I would like to admit, mostly because of the 100 coin mission. You see, I kept accidentally entering the slide with too many coins, and because of that the star would spawn out of reach and I would have to restart the level again. But after a couple of tries, I was able to get the star spawn near the bottom of the slide and was able to complete the entirety of the world in one fell swoop. After finishing CCM, I did the secret level next to Jolly Roger Bay and then went into that world and got a couple of stars there, before moving on to do the first Bowser level in the game. After getting the 8 red coins and defeating Bowser, I unlocked the next major area of the game, which was the basement. The basement is home to multiple worlds and even more stars for me to collect. But before I did that, I decided to do the Vanish Cap secret area, which is only unlockable after you unlock the basement for the first time. After collecting the 8 red coins and officially unlocking the Vanish Cap, I caught a runaway rabbit, talked to Toad, and entered the next world of the game, Hazy Maze Cave. After getting a couple of stars in HMC and unlocking the metal cap, I decided to go back into Jolly Roger Bay to get the stars that I was missing there. After JRC was fully completed, I decided to move on to the next world of the game, Big Boo's Haunt, which was one of the worlds that I played the most growing up as a kid. Big Boo's Haunt went pretty well, probably because of all of the memories that I had growing up with it. After fully completing the world, I decided to move on to possibly the hottest level in the entire game, Lethal Lava Land, where after getting the first couple of stars, I shifted gears and went into Shifting Sandland, where after getting the first star there, I quitted out the level, got MIPS again, and was now at 50 stars, almost halfway there. After getting MIPS, I decided to go back into Lethal Lava Land and finish off that level. And once that was finished, I headed back into Shifting Sandland to finish off that world as well. After a rather difficult 100 coin star, I finished off Shifting Sandland and headed back into Hazy Maze Cave in order to finish off that level, and to effectively finish off the basement in its entirety. After finishing HMC, there was now only one level left before being able to fight Bowser again, and that would be Dire Dire Docks. I decided to go ahead and just get a bunch of the stars in Dire Dire Docks before even going to fight the boss, which not only left us with a handful of levels to complete, but also put us at over 70 stars, which is the minimum required to beat the game normally. And after beating Dire Dire Docks, I went on to the second Bowser fight in the game. Of course, after collecting the 8 red coins and getting the star from that level as well. After defeating Bowser and unlocking the key to the second floor, I went back and completed the rest of the levels in Dire Dire Docks, which fully completed the entirety of the basement. After that, I went upstairs, talked to Toad to get a free star, and then went into the next world of the game and the second floor of the castle, Wet Dry World. Wet Dry World has a very interesting mechanic that none of the other worlds in Mario 64 has, and that has to do with the tides. See, if you enter the painting from the bottom, you will enter the level at low tide, whereas if you enter it from the top of the painting, you will enter it at high tide, allowing you to reach the hidden city area that you otherwise couldn't reach without the cannon. And after completing Wet Dry World, I went into the next world of the game, Tall Tall Mountain. Tall Tall Mountain was another level that I struggled on with the 100 coin star. Once again due to the fact that it had a slide mechanic. See, for the longest time I didn't know that you could just jump out of the slide and land back in the beginning of the level afterwards, and so I would try to finish collecting the 100 coins in the slide, which of course would make it impossible to collect the star. However, once I learned that you were indeed able to jump back to the beginning of the world, doing the 100 coin star was a lot easier than I expected. And with Tall Tall Mountain done, I headed into Snowman's Land, which was one of the worlds that I was dreading the most in the entire game. All due to one star in particular, the Snowman's Head. After an embarrassingly long time, I was finally able to get the star and finish up the entirety of the world, and moved on to Tiny Huge Island, which, if I thought Snowman's Land was the level I was dreading, this was the one that I very easily struggled the most with. See, just like Wet Dry World, this world has a very unique gimmick to it, where you could either be very large or very small compared to your surroundings, depending on what painting you enter from. There are a couple of stars that are exclusive to each version of the painting, and you are able to swap in between at any time by going through one of the warp pipes throughout the level. However, for some reason, a couple of the stars, specifically the red coin star and the 100 coin star, gave me a lot more issues than I expected. You see, for the longest time I did not think that you could get enough coins to get the 100 coin star on this level, since by killing the Goombas you only get 1 coin at a time. However, apparently if you ground pound the Goombas, you get 5 coins rather than your typical 1. But for the longest time, I didn't know that, so I spent several minutes just killing the Goombas over and over, trying to get enough coins, and obviously not getting enough that I needed. After almost 40 minutes of me trying to figure out this level, I finally figured out the gimmick of the Goombas and got all 100 coins, which finally finished off the entirety of Tiny Huge Island. Never again will I have to go through that torture. After that, all of the worlds in the second floor were done, and I was able to move on to the final floor of the game, where I talked to Toad one last time to get a free star, and then decided to go ahead and do the final boss, since I needed to beat him twice anyway. See, one of the requirements that I have for 100%ing this game is to view both dialogues that Bowser gives at the end of the Bowser in the Sky boss fight. The number of stars you have at the end of the game will determine what dialogue you get. If you have anywhere from 0 to 119 stars, he'll give you 1 dialogue, and if you get every single star in the game, he'll give you unique dialogue. Since at the time I only had 104 stars, I figured now would be the best time to get the first dialogue option out of the way, and so that way I could come back to fight Bowser again after I collect the rest of the stars. After defeating Bowser for the last time, I got the first alternate dialogue and got to see the credits for the first time, before going back in and beginning cleaning up the rest of the stars in the game. Starting off with one of my favorite worlds in the entire game, Tick Tock Clock. Where I immediately died. Just like with Wet Dry World and Tiny Huge Mountain, Tick-Tock Clock has a gimmick that is unique to its world, and that is the time on the clock when you enter the level. You see, whenever you jump into the clock, the speed of everything in the level will change, and it is rounded to the nearest quarter hour. If you enter when the minute hand is closest to 12, it will make everything stop. Entering near 3 makes everything move slowly. Entering near 6 makes everything move randomly and change speeds. And entering near 9 makes everything move quickly. It is arguably the most interesting gimmick in the entire game and one of my favorites to mess around with. And so I didn't really have any issues completing the world in its entirety. After completing Tick-Tock Clock, I went ahead and did the final Wing Cap special level before moving on to the final world of the entire game, Rainbow Ride. Rainbow Ride is arguably one of the most difficult worlds in the entire game, and it definitely showed. I ended up having to slow down a lot to focus on one star at a time instead of making progress toward multiple. But after a lot of trial and error, I finally finished the entirety of Rainbow Ride and collected the 120th Power Star, making every single star in the entire game now mine. With that, all that was left was to defeat Bowser one final time. And so, for the final time, I entered into the last level of the game, Bowser in the Sky. After killing Bowser for the true final last time and viewing his final alternate dialogue, all that was left was to enter our now completed save file and go up to the top of Peach's castle where we could talk to Yoshi, where he congratulates us for collecting all 120 stars and as a reward gives us 100 lives in total, which maxes out our life count. And with that, Mario 64 has officially been conquered. Thank you all so much for watching. This game was a large part of my childhood, and it was a lot of fun to go back and revisit it, even some of the levels that I didn't really enjoy. Once again, I do apologize for this video being late, as I was sick this past month, so I wasn't able to get it finished until now, but hopefully the video earlier this month was able to make up for that. If you got this far in the video and enjoyed what you saw, why not consider hitting the subscribe button? It's free, it helps out the channel a lot, and you could unsubscribe whenever you like. Of course, if you would like to watch the entire playthrough fully unedited, you could check it out on the LP Max YouTube channel, which I will link down below, as well as links to my Twitch, where you could watch me play through games live before they show up on YouTube, and links to my Twitter, where you could check out live updates before anyone else hears them. There are quite a few games that I want to 100% in 2025, so I hope everyone is ready. It's going to be quite a couple of shorter games coming out just because I'm currently working on an extremely long one, but trust me when I say that it'll be very much worth it. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you all have a blessed day.